The other thing too, and I don't know if you're seeing this, but just the scale of some of the debts. We're getting sort of multi-million-dollar debts, and we had one came in probably 2 weeks ago now. It was large labour hire company in Queensland. And an interesting story because they'd only recently bought the business, and it turned out there was something hiding in the business that they weren't aware of, and it was a $4 million superannuation debt that was brought about by the fact that they'd been a few days late every month in making their payments, and so therefore the ATO then calculates the way they calculate superannuation on actual wages rather than normal wages, which actually added $4 million to their bill. Wow. The directors, in good faith, found out this, made a voluntary disclosure, and the ATO were very grateful around that, then sent it to the debt section, and the first thing the debt section did is issued $4 million in director penalty notices to these directors. They were a little surprised. They didn't impose penalties, but which is what was part of the agreement, but the director penalty notices certainly obviously created some angst at their end. That was one too where I think the case officer had reached a point where they were running out of patience with the company, and so we engaged initially with the case officer, and then when we were getting nowhere there, and we don't do this very often, but where we need to, we have that ability, as you know, to escalate, and we escalated the matter to an assistant director who was then able to take control of the matter, and we've now managed to get that business out the other side. The directors are safe from the director penalty notices. The company's in a long-term viable payment plan. There's some capital that's being raised to help with that. And but it's a bit tricky. And I kind of understand sometimes why, the accountants who are dealing with this, when they reach a point where we reached a point where we were getting nowhere with that case officer. And so we need to escalate. And that's one of the benefits, certainly, in terms of being able to do that, is we can get, a fresh look at it and get an outcome that makes sense rather than putting another business under.
Yeah, where I'm seeing sort of level of debt. I think we used to see the debt pre-COVID, an average debt might be around 300,000 for a business, whereas now we're seeing, I suppose, an average debt 800,000 or 900,000, which makes sense because you've had 2 years where people felt like they could ignore the ATO, they didn't have to pay it back. I think what people didn't understand during that period of time is it wasn't going to disappear. It's compounded, and now it's all immediately due. So you've got 2 or 3 years of liabilities that have built up and accumulated, and now it's like bang, it's the full amount is due and payable, plus you have to keep paying your ongoings. And so the pressure and the realization of that is huge. And I think sometimes, like a lot of problems in life, the hardest step is going, okay, I need help, and then who can help me, and then reaching out and get that help. And I'm sure you see it all the time. I know I do when we meet with clients, the look of relief on their face, or you can hear it over the phone in their voice. Oh my God, thank goodness that someone can now help me. You know exactly what I'm going through. You know what to do. It's all yours. Please help and just fix it. And that relief is massive.